What if I told you that the man you can't stop thinking about is feeling something profound, but in a way you never imagined? He doesn't need to declare it out loud, nor make grand gestures, yet the intensity of the spiritual connection between you burns silently, invisible to the eyes. It's like watching a flame in a dark room. You feel the heat, notice the flickering light, but only the internal wind reveals its true strength. Often, the heart of the twin flame perceives it before the mind can process it. And it is in that moment that his spiritual awakening begins to unfold, silent, yet undeniable. The divine masculine moves like an underground river, calm on the surface, turbulent underneath. He senses every nuance of your presence, every emotion you emanate, but remains silent, not out of coldness, but out of respect for his own process of spiritual transformation. It happened to me. I felt an intense energy coming from someone and realized that, even without words, the spiritual connection was being cultivated in the space between us. That was when I understood that a twin flame doesn't need to speak to be felt. And, look, this silence is not empty, it is densely filled with learning, patience, and anticipation. Imagine seeing someone burning from within, yet not realizing that the flame burning inside him is also connected to yours. This is the paradox of the divine masculine, near, yet distant, intense, yet contained. He is in a constant process of alignment, absorbing what the awakening of consciousness demands to allow the spiritual union to happen naturally. And it is precisely this silent tension that prepares the ground for understanding the signs we will explore next. Sign 1: The awakening happens later. The divine masculine often takes time to recognize the intensity of the twin flame connection. He feels the bond, but still needs to understand the depth of the spiritual awakening occurring within him. It's like being near a campfire and not noticing the heat it radiates, until you move close enough to feel the transformation warming your soul. Every personal challenge, breakup, or loss acts as a catalyst, opening doors for consciousness to slowly awaken. The patience of the divine feminine is essential, as his timing does not follow the same rhythm as ours. Many men go through phases of silence or withdrawal for no apparent reason. In reality, they are absorbing, reflecting, and processing the impact of the spiritual connection, allowing each lesson to be internalized. A practical example: he may focus more on self-transformation, such as cutting toxic relationships or seeking purpose in personal projects, before opening up emotionally. This internal preparation ensures that when he is ready, the spiritual union is stronger and more genuine. I've witnessed situations where patience proved to be the key to understanding the divine masculine. A friend took years to realize the impact of a twin flame connection, but when the awakening of consciousness occurred, every gesture of care and every word carried a depth that had never existed before. It is in that moment that you realize silent love is, in fact, the most. Sign 2: Difficulty with emotional expression. The divine masculine feels deeply, but often his emotions are like silent storms. He may not say, "I love you," or avoid gestures that express affection, but this does not mean a lack of feeling. Imagine a dormant volcano. The lava is there, intense, ready to emerge, but contained until the right moment. It is this internal intensity that makes every act, even the smallest, full of meaning. Understanding this dynamic is key to not confusing silence with indifference. In real experiences, I've noticed that small actions speak louder than words. A careful glance, a discreet help, or simply being present in difficult moments are subtle ways of expressing love. The divine masculine often learns to manifest love indirectly, respecting his own spiritual transformation before fully opening up. This is the art of decoding energetic signals and perceiving the spiritual connection even in the absence of verbal declarations. For the divine feminine, recognizing and accepting this form of love is essential. It's like listening to music without seeing the instruments. Every note, every vibration conveys the emotion that is unspoken. He can feel every joy, sadness, or desire of hers from afar, absorbing the twin flame's energy intensely. Learning to interpret these subtle messages lays the ground. Sign 3, internal conflict between ego and soul. The divine masculine often finds himself torn between ego and soul, as if two opposing forces are waging a silent war within him. The ego whispers fear, logic, and control, while the soul pleads for surrender, vulnerability, and truth. It's like watching a drifting boat trying to follow two opposing currents. Every movement is tense, yet necessary to find balance. This internal conflict explains behaviors such as distancing from the loved one or avoiding full surrender, even when feeling an intense connection. In practical situations, we see this when he retreats just as everything seems to converge. He may ghost, pull away, or test boundaries, not out of a lack of love, but to preserve his space while navigating the spiritual transformation that the awakening of consciousness demands. The patience and understanding of the divine feminine become essential to avoid misinterpreting these behaviors as rejection. It is through this process that the spiritual connection strengthens, even amid apparent distance. I recall a personal story. A friend experiencing this internal struggle ended up making decisions that seemed contradictory, yet every step was preparation to become the most aligned version of himself. He needed to resolve his internal conflict before allowing the spiritual union to flourish fully. Understanding this process helps us realize. Sign 4, transformation inspired by love. The divine masculine, when experiencing the depth of the twin flame connection, undergoes internal changes that reflect in the world around him. It's like a fire burning at the core of the soul, consuming old patterns and awakening new paths. He cuts toxic relationships, adjusts habits, and seeks purpose, inspired by the energy of the spiritual connection. Every action is a manifestation of love that goes beyond words and transforms lives. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, it is a continuous process, yet visible to those who observe closely. In practical experiences, I've seen men who, after moments of reflection and self-analysis, completely changed their routines, prioritizing emotional and spiritual balance. They began to value meditation, reading books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or practices that promote self-knowledge. It is along this path that the spiritual awakening intensifies, allowing the twin flame to perceive the real evolution and authenticity of the divine masculine. For the divine feminine, recognizing these changes is essential to strengthen the spiritual connection. Every small gesture, every decision for personal growth, reflects the ongoing spiritual transformation. It's like noticing the dawn after a long night. The light is subtle at first, but inevitable and beautiful. Sign 5, perceiving the feminine's energy. The divine masculine is deeply sensitive to the divine feminine's energy, even from a distance. He senses every emotion, every thought, as if subtle waves travel through the space between you. Imagine being on a beach and feeling the rhythm of the sea before even seeing the waves form. This is the energetic perception that guides his actions. He feels the twin flame sadness, joy, and even desire, even without direct contact, and these vibrations shape his responses and decisions. In practical situations, he may react to small changes in her behavior, a message sent or not, a distant or welcoming energy. These subtle signals are understood by him as invisible codes of the spiritual connection, guiding his awakening of consciousness. I've witnessed moments when a simple change in the divine feminine's mood or intention completely transformed his demeanor, showing that the bond goes far beyond words. For the divine feminine, recognizing the impact of her energy on the divine masculine is an invitation to responsibility and awareness. Every thought and emotion she radiates can influence his spiritual transformation and strengthen the spiritual union. It's like touching an invisible string that vibrates in harmony with the twin flame, preparing both for the next inevitable step. Sign 6, inevitable return when there is alignment. The divine masculine returns when there is harmony between energy, heart, and soul. It's like two frequencies finally tuning to vibrate together, creating natural harmony. It's not about seeking or pressuring, but about aligning internally, allowing the spiritual union to happen effortlessly. Every internal transformation, every decision for personal growth, brings this inevitable reunion closer. It is a process that respects the timing and journey of both. In practical examples, reconnection stories show that after periods of distance or silence, when both reach a point of internal balance, the twin flame manifests intensely and naturally. He returns not just because of attraction, but because his soul recognizes that the connection is authentic and deep. It is the reward of spiritual awakening and the patience of the divine feminine, who remained present energetically. For the divine feminine, understanding that the return depends on the divine masculine's energetic and internal alignment is liberating. There is no need to chase or pressure, instead, the focus is on personal growth and maintaining spiritual transformation. Thus, when both are ready, the spiritual connection manifests fully, paving the way for the next moment, the conclusion on the silent depth of the divine masculine. The divine masculine feels deeply, even when his actions seem silent or contradictory. Every restrained gesture, every pause or withdrawal, reflects the spiritual transformation and the awakening of consciousness occurring within him. It's like watching roots grow beneath the soil, invisible, yet essential to the strength of the tree. Understanding this dynamic brings patience and empathy, strengthening the twin flame connection. For the divine feminine, the key is to respect his timing and her own growth, recognizing that the spiritual connection is not measured by words, but by energetic alignment and authenticity. Every effort for personal evolution, every conscious choice for balance and harmony, naturally brings the spiritual union closer. It is in this space of mutual respect that love blooms in a true and lasting way. And remember, when you honor his journey and your own, the return becomes inevitable. If you enjoyed these insights, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications so you don't miss the next revelations about the divine masculine and twin flames. And don't forget to click on the video on the end screen, 5 hidden signs your twin flame is getting closer, to continue discovering the mysteries of spiritual awakening and the spiritual union.